In today's Storm video, we're combining the Artist Talent deck with the Epic Storm by adding in Burning Wish. It's a donation deck from Matthew Story. Let's go check it out. In front of you is an updated Artist Talent Storm deck, and it's a donation deck from Matthew Story. Matthew, thank you for your continued support here on the Epic Storm. So Matthew is a Combo Cabal member, which means you get 1 hour tutoring every month, but you also get a free donation deck. And Matthew cashed that in to see a deck that they've been working on, which is combining that Artist Talent deck with a little bit of the Epic Storm, primarily just Burning Wish. And well, what does Burning Wish do? Well, you don't have to play a main deck Grape Shot anymore, or utility cards like Pyrite Spellbomb that aren't always good. Instead, you can have a more flexible payoff spell that can go grab that Grape Shot, so that way you have more access to it. Or you could grab other answers like Void Snare. So it's just better use of your slots, in my opinion, but it does come at a cost. So in order to support more red cards, like Burning Wish, we probably have to change the mana base a little bit. So we're not playing Ancient Tomb today, which gives you more colored mana, so that way you can more easily cast Rite of Flame or Gamble or whatever else you're trying to play. So instead of having the Ancient Tomb synergy with Urza's Saga or Defense Grid, you have more colored mana, which allows you to play things like Pulverize, for example. Okay, well that's pretty interesting. And I do think with the last time I played this deck, I struggled with making colored mana sometimes. So I am interested to see how this plays out today. I do think that the Burning Wish package is an upgrade, and I do like the ability to add in Surveil lands like the Commercial District or Thundering Falls. I think those are meaningful upgrades. So I like the fetch mana base with 4 copies of Urza's Saga, and we'll see how No Ancient Tomb plays. I'm a little cautious about that, but I'm optimistic that it could be good. In the sideboard, we have 3 copies of Into the Floodmaw for those Karn the Great Creator decks like the Mystic Forge combo. Void Snare is mostly a Burning Wish target. You have Echo of Aeons, the 4th copy. A lot of the previous Artist Talent decks played 4 copies of Echo of Aeons in the main deck. Here we put it in the sideboard, so that way you have more access to that 4th copy. Tendrils of Agony. We didn't play this previously, but when you're a Burning Wish deck, it does allow you to win with fewer resources, and having the option to Tendrils your opponent can be helpful. Peer into the Abyss. This is how we beat Graveyard Hate, which is a major upgrade for playing that Burning Wish package. Previously, Leyline of the Void just housed this deck. You had to win with Urza's Saga Beatdown. Now you can Burning Wish into Peer into the Abyss, draw half your library, and not even use your graveyard. That seems worth it to me. We have the win condition of Grape Shot, Galvanic Relay. You are the Echo deck, but when you Burning Wish, you can just go grab the Galvanic Relay. Also, it helps you beat Graveyard Hate. So just having that Burning Wish opens up a lot of doors. The Alchemist Gambit. This is to combine with Empty the Warrens. It allows you to beat the One Ring. So you play Empty the Warrens, you play the Alchemist Gambit, you take another turn, and now you can attack and damage can't be prevented. So that way your opponent will die through the One Ring. Pulverize primarily for those artifact-based strategies, and while having a fetch mana base does allow you to play it. Beseiju Who Endures, this is for blue decks because it allows you to blow up a Null Rod, for example, through counter magic, which is very good. And then the Haywire Might. This is your lone Urza's Saga dedicated target that could beat something like a Deafening Silence or Leyline of the Void, whatever. That is the deck tech. Thank you once again to Matthew Story for submitting it to this YouTube channel. I really do appreciate your support, and I hope everyone enjoys the video. If you do, like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff. But for now, we're going to hop on into match number 1, and I will see you there. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also show your support by becoming a member of this channel. You get sweet perks such as badges, emotes, early access to videos, exclusive members only content, and access to our members Discord section. As you increase the tiers, there are other rewards such as shop discounts, sideboard guides, and even free donation decks. Click the join button down below to find out more. We also have other ways you can support us, like theepicstorm.com/shop or submitting a donation deck via theepicstorm.com/donation decks. That's enough for now. Let's play some Magic. Welcome to the first match with Artist Talent Storm and Legacy. We're on the play. Wow, this hand is quite good. We're going to keep this. It's not great if our opponent plays Force of Will, but I like the rest of it. So we're going to try it out. So here we can go Volcanic Island, Rite of Flame, into Artist Talent, and then play a couple artifacts, trigger that Artist Talent, and try to dig for a Veil of Summer or another Rite of Flame into Defense Grid or something else. Our opponent has kept 7 as well. We'll play Volcanic Island, Rite of Flame, play the Artist Talent, and if they Force of Will this, we're pretty happy. We'll play Lion's Eye Diamond, trigger the Artist Talent, discard the Quantum Riddler. We don't want them to see the Echo of Aeons. That resolved, we'll play Lotus Petal, trigger, discard the Echo. Burning Wish is interesting. We'll play the Lotus Petal. So I could attempt to Galvanic Relay here, but then I have to sacrifice the diamond to do so. Maybe I was supposed to loot away the Burning Wish then. Maybe it was a mistake to keep it. Alright, we're just going to spin. I think I was supposed to loot the Burning Wish. That was an error on my part. Echo of Aeon's on the stack. And they do have a Force of Will, exiles Murktide Regent. I guess we'll get to see if my error in not discarding the Burning Wish matters. Underground Sea. Into a Tamiyo Inquisitive Student. Okay. Quantum Riddler, so it wouldn't have mattered. This Quantum Riddler draws 2 cards, so I guess we'll play it. Resolve, so now we'll draw 2. Play the Mox Opal. Triggers. Discard the Burning Wish. Nice. So now I can play my land, and I can Quantum Riddler again. The problem is that it loses to a Daze. I suppose I could just pass the turn. Should I just pass the turn? Probably. We'll Surveil. Keep the Chrome Mox on top. Pass. So that was a pretty impressive turn for having no cards. If I chose to disrespect Daze, we would have drawn a Chrome Mox that would have been +2 cards with the Artist Talent. I mean, it's risky, but it could have worked. And now they Brainstorm. Tamiyo will transform now. They plus the Tamiyo. They play a Prismatic Vista. Interesting. So that tells me that they're more likely to be like Dimir Tempo than Dimir Reanimator. Alright, so we'll begin our turn by warping the Quantum Riddler. And this time they Force of Will, exiling Force of Negation. So you opened up on triple Force by turn 3. That's pretty powerful. And I think we'll just pass here. Okay, they fetch with the Prismatic Vista for a basic Swamp. They draw with the Clue token. They might minus the Tamiyo here, and they do to return a Force of Will. They play an Underground Sea, 4 cards in hand, and a Nile Spellbomb. Not super relevant at the moment. I guess it shuts off 1 mana from Rite of Flame. Lotus Petal, we'll play that. So this gives me 5 mana, and I'll discard the Chrome Mox, lines a diamond. We can play the diamond and then potentially hardcast the Quantum Riddler. Okay, let's play the Sphinx. We know that they have a Force of Will in their hand, so I'm guessing this isn't going to resolve. They Force of Will, exiling Ponder. So they've played 3 copies of Force of Will this game, although they've seen 4 if you count the return of Force of Will, because they did exile a Force of Negation earlier. So now they plus the Tamiyo, and they're going to use the Nile Spellbomb. They play Basic Island, 2 cards in their hand, a Nethergoyf. Okay, so my Dimir Tempo read was correct. They have 1 card in their hand now. Another Artist Talent. I think we're just going to level up Artist Talent this turn and then pass. Now they'll attack for 3, I'll go to 16. And they could kill the Tamiyo Seasoned Scholar to return another Force of Will. Let's see if they do it. Thoughtseize, brutal. Okay, that was tough. That was real tough. Defense Grid. I think we'll just pass the turn here. I want the ability to loot with the Artist Talent, so that is why I'm holding. Orcish Bowmasters, that's not good. Okay, so they might have turned a corner this game. Wasteland. Now they swing for 6. I'll go to 9. They could minus the Tamiyo here to return hardcast Force of Will, and they do. Okay, Tamiyo's down to 2 counters. We'll draw. Urza Saga. Let's play Defense Grid. We'll loot away the Urza Saga. This will trigger the Orcish Bowmasters. Ugh, a land. No! Brutal. And now they have 7 power on the board. I have to pass the turn. They plus the Tamiyo again. So Tamiyo this game returned 2 copies of Force of Will. Very powerful. And now we'll go to 1. Assuming they didn't draw another Orcish Bowmasters. The Lion's Eye Diamond is not going to do it. Okay, so we lose game number 1 to Dimir Tempo with a lot of forces. A lot. But we were still in this game up until the Orcish Bowmasters, in my opinion. Against Dimir Tempo, we likely want Paseju to blow up Null Rod. Also, extra lands doesn't hurt. And I think we can just shave on Chrome Mox and Mox Opal here. I like having Rite of Flame in order to help combat the Null Rod effects that those decks have. And, you know, just mitigate the effect a little bit. So you could board out Rite of Flames and like bring in Into the Flood Maws as well. Or maybe a Haywire Might, although I think the odds that they have something that Haywire Might destroys that doesn't shut it off is unlikely. Game number 2, we're on the play this time. Sure, we'll try this. Keep. Lead off with the Lion's Eye Diamond. Chrome Mox. We'll imprint the Gamble. Play Urza's Saga. So we can sort of put our opponent in a pinch here, where the Burning Wish threatens Echo of Aeons, or I could start making constructs. The downside would be if they have like exactly Force of Will into Wasteland, but I like this avenue of threatening constructs on turn 2 or drawing 7. They play Marsh Flats. Okay. Here's the Saga triggers. They do not consign to memory, so here I'll just pass the turn. They fetch with the Marsh Flats, and they surveil with an Undercity Sewers Wasteland, so I'm only going to get one construct here most likely. Null Rod. Okay, so only one construct, but I do have the answer to the Null Rod already. I will not be able to make another construct due to the Null Rod. Mox Opal, so we could just tap this for colorless. And then let's go grab another Lion's Eye Diamond. We'll play Mox Opal, play the Taiga, and I think I would just like to go to combat. Attack for 5. They're at 14 life now. We have the ability to destroy the Null Rod. They ponder. They play Basic Island. On their end step, we will channel the Beseiju Who Endures to destroy Null Rod. So they can go grab like an Underground Sea here. That would allow them 2 Orcish Bowmasters. Quantum Riddler will swing. And I think I would like to warp here. If they have a Bowmasters, they've missed the ability to block this turn. And the Quantum Riddler, if it resolves, will draw 2. And I can always hardcast it later. And they do flash in the Orcish Bowmasters. Okay. They're going to ping the Construct token. And now I'll draw 2 off of the Quantum Riddler. These triggers are on the stack. I would like to attempt a Veil of Summer. They Force Will Exiling Ponder. I'm going to just pass the turn. Thoughtseize. Well, they know one of the cards in my hand is Echo of Aeons and the other is an unknown. They're going to attack with the Bowmasters here. Okay, they're at 6. So they most likely have to block. If they have another Bowmasters, though, my Construct token will trade, and I don't love that. There's a Saga. Pre-combat, I think I'm going to play the Quantum Riddler, because if they have another Bowmasters, I'll know about it before I swing. We'll hardcast Quantum Riddler. This will trigger. I guess this grows the Orc Army twice, so maybe this wasn't a good idea. I don't know. It was probably bad. Because I think either way, Bowmasters ends up being problematic, and I'll just pass the turn. They play Prismatic Vista. So the one upside here is that Quantum Riddler is a 4/6 flyer. Currently, they don't have any flying blockers. Barrogoyf, that also does not fly. They destroy my Urza Saga. 2 cards in their hand. We'll go to combat. Swing for 4 in the air. This will put them to 1. So I think the only card that beats me here would be a Force of Negation. We'll play Burning Wish, and then I can just grab Grape Shot, which even beats a Consign to Memory here. We'll play Chrome Mox, imprint the Echo of Aeons. We'll play our Surveil Land, because if I have to use the Lion's Eye Diamond, I want to, without having to fear losing that Surveil. And now a Grape Shot for 3. Target them with the original. We'll put 1 copy on Orcish Bowmasters, I guess, and then point the other back at them. We win game number 2. Nice. I mean, I like the way our deck is currently shaped. I'm going to just resubmit it. Game number 3, we're on the draw. This is a turn 1 Runehorn Hellkite. I think we keep this. Obviously, this hand is very weak to Thoughtseize, but you can't beat everything. And they do have it. Unfortunate. So, they probably take the Lotus Petal. They took the gamble. Okay. Well, that was a draw. Play the Lotus Petal. Rite of Flame. Let's try the Artist Talent. Lion's Eye Diamond. Trigger. Discard Echo of Aeons. Gamble is a good draw. We'll play another Diamond. Discard the Quantum Riddler. Ah, so close! Am I supposed to just wait now? I think so, because next turn if I rip a red land, I have everything. If I get hit by Null Rod, I'm going to feel real dumb. Orcish Bowmasters would be problematic. What are the odds they kept a hand with Force and Thoughtseize? Pretty high? Alright, I'm going to risk it. Flashback Echo. They didn't force the Artist Talent, which I think tells me they don't have one, but I've been wrong before. And apparently I was right. We'll play the Bloodstained Mire. Let's fetch, grab Taiga, and we'll play Rite of Flame. Discard Urza Saga and Artist Talent. Discard Quantum Riddler. That resolves, and now we have to pass the turn. They play an island and Orcish Bowmasters. Okay. Urza Saga. I think I like just playing Saga and passing here. They play a Marsh Flats and a Thoughtseize. We'll attempt a Veil of Summer. Trigger the Artist Talent. Discard Rite of Flame. I understand this is going to allow them to ping me, but I'd rather filter through my deck here. So we'll take 1, and now we'll discard Chrome Mox. Okay. And now Veil of Summer. Fell Pierce. That was unexpected. So they're going to be able to discard my other Veil of Summer, making beating Bowmasters very difficult. They took the gamble. Interesting. Not what I expected. And now they swing for 4, I'll go to 12. They fetch with the Marsh Flats. And another Thoughtseize. Okay, well that makes more sense. They have 3 cards in their hand. Scalding Tarn was the draw. I think I'll save the Beseiju Who Endures. And we'll go fetch the Volcanic Island here. Pass the turn. This will at least keep the Orcish Bowmasters on defense. They swing for 3, I'll go to 8. They play Undercity Sewers. Surveils away another Goyf. That was huge for them. That's another threat. Excuse me. That's another threat to break through the Urza Saga stalemate. And now we'll draw. Quantum Riddler. Not very good versus this Orcish Bowmasters. Okay, so now we'll grab another artifact. So the last list I played had a Pyrite Spellbomb. Matthew did not want to play it. And I feel like this is sort of a spot where if we had a Pyrite Spellbomb, I would definitely be using it because this deck is very weak to Orcish Bowmasters. So the question is, do I want Mox Opal or do I want another Lion's Eye Diamond? I think it's a Mox Opal. I'll attack for 4 and we'll pass. They cast Brainstorm. 4 cards in their hand and they do not swing. Interesting. Lotus Petal. So now our creatures, if this resolves, will be 5/5s. So they could Force of Will this Lotus Petal or a Force of Negation hard cast. They let it go. So now we're threatening lethal. I'm going to just swing. They block the 5/5. Okay. I'll level up 1 Artist Talent and we'll pass the turn. They had another Bowmasters. How about that? So now I'll go to 7. They play Ponder. They shuffled pretty quickly on that Ponder. And they found a Barrogoyf that's backbreaking here. Wow. 3 cards in their hand. Wow. So I'll go to 4. And if I play the Quantum Riddler, I'm actually dead if I don't draw Veil of Summer. Because I have to draw the cards. If I just play Diamond and pass, does that do anything? I don't think so. It's insane. And what are the odds they don't have a Force? Because they haven't played one all game. And they've played Brainstorms and Ponders. Ah, jeez. I don't even know what a winning game looks like from here. I might just be dead. I can't think of a line that wins. So I could play Diamond and like loot away the Beseiju, and that would deal me 2, and I'd have to draw like exactly Veil of Summer and it has to resolve. Like I don't think I'm actually allowed to keep this Quantum Riddler. I don't know. I'll just discard the Beseiju. Okay. That puts me to 2. So because I leveled up 1 Artist Talent, Burning Wish into Tendrils is actually lethal. Not going to loot. So we want this to resolve because then I can grab the Tendrils of Agony. They have Force of Negation. So a winning game at this point is I have to draw like Veil of Summer off of off of the Quantum Riddler. So we'll play the Quantum Riddler with Warp. Turn off my auto yields. We'll add red and green. I guess maybe it should be blue for the Lotus Petal, or like my Lotus Petal is my green. So maybe it's this. So I'll draw 2 and one of them has to be Veil of Summer. And it was. Okay. They have 1 card in hand. And I can now play the Veil of Summer. We do not want to loot here. This has been an insane match. No. Veil of Summer. And now when this resolves, because they have 1 card in hand, I'm guessing they don't have a free counter here. They daze. We'll pay for daze. Use a blue. I will draw 2 cards off this Veil of Summer, which was a defense grid. We'll auto yield to the Bowmaster triggers. Play a gamble. Discard. Well, let's auto yield to this again. Discard defense grid. Now Bowmaster triggers. And at this point, I'm just trying to get Burning Wish, so that way I can just grab the Cyborg Grapeshot. So now we gamble, Burning Wish, and we did not lose the gamble. So now I can just Burning Wish for the Cyborg Grapeshot. Discard the Echo. So it looks like we're going to win this match. I will say it would have been a lot easier if we had the Pyrite Spellbomb. I'm just throwing that out there. Like maybe having one somewhere in the 75. It doesn't have to be in the main deck, but maybe one somewhere in the 75 for the Bowmaster matchups is not a terrible idea. It also beats Dothy Voidwalker out of Dimir Reanimator, so it's not a terrible card to have. We'll grab the Grapeshot, point it at you. We pulled a rabbit out of a hat. I did not think we were going to win this one. Discard Urza's Saga. Discard Beseiju Who Endures. They have a 23/23 Orc Army token. And we'll point all of the copies of Grapeshot at our opponent. What a match. I can't believe we had 2 Veil of Summers left that we were drawing towards. And we managed to make it work. Just insane. Wow. All right, well, that was a heck of a round 1, and we won it. How about that? Let's see if we can have another great match number 2. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks. For round number 2, we're on the play. I do not know what our opponent's playing, but I know in the past they've played a lot of combo decks. Here we have a hand that doesn't actually do anything. We'll send this one back. Similar boat, this hand just doesn't function, so we're going down to 5. They kept 7. So this is a turn 1 artist talent, and then a gamble that doesn't really accomplish anything. I'll go down to 4. Ay. I'm going to be greedy. At this point, it's just Lion's Eye Diamond plus Echo is what we want. Not here. Close. We'll keep. Okay. We'll play Lion's Eye Diamond, Wooded Foothills, and now we'll fetch. Grab a Thundering Falls and see if we can hit an Echo of Aeons. Alright, so Chromox to the graveyard and we'll pass. Blooded Strand? What? Well, that's an Echo. Okay. Let's try to spin. Do you have a Force of Will? Pitch is another Force of Will. Okay, so we've lost this one. But we're going to stick it out and figure out what they're playing, because right now it's just generic blue deck, but I would actually like to know what blue deck are they playing. Lush Portico, so dedicated control by the looks of it. They now play a Windswept Heath. It could also be Nadu. Yeah, it's green Nadu. Okay. And I think I know what they're playing, so now we can go to the next one. Okay, so against Nadu, we would like into the Flood Maws. Maybe the Haywire Might, and then just take out like Rite of Flame maybe, and we'll submit. Game number 2 on the play. I probably won't mulligan as aggressively now that I know what we're up against. This hand is very slow. Okay, I will mulligan this one. It just doesn't do enough. This one has no mana. I mean, it has like Lotus Petal and Chromox, but those aren't real mana sources. I guess we're going to 5 again. We'll keep. Bottom the Floodmaw and the Burning Wish. Play the Thundering Falls, Surveil. Don't need a Quantum Riddler. That can go to the graveyard. We'll pass. So Quantum Riddler is a very powerful card. You saw it do a lot in match number 1. I think I do like the card, and I don't want anyone to think that I don't. But my issue with the card is it almost feels like it doesn't do enough sometimes. Like when you're really far behind, it just feels not great. But maybe I'm expecting it to be better than it should be. Like 2 mana draw 2 isn't the worst, and that this deck is very good at making that happen. So now we'll play a diamond and attempt to draw 2 cards with the Quantum Riddler. It resolves. And we'll pass. So, assuming that I don't get hit by a Collector Oof next turn, we could play Defense Grid into Gamble for Echo of Aeons. They have Karakas and Green Sun Zenith for Collector Oof. Okay. We will play Defense Grid. Whoops! No! I did not mean to do that. No! I guess we'll grab Floodmaw. That was a mistake. I just clicked the wrong card. I even announced the right one. I just clicked on the wrong one. I played match number 1 relatively well, and here, not the same. So we'll take 3, ouch. That was a good draw. So we need this Defense Grid to resolve, and it does, pass the turn. They grab a Hedge Maze, hard cast Force of Vigor. That's just mean. That is just mean. So if I Flood Maw, I have exactly enough mana to gamble for Echo. Okay. We'll attempt to bounce the Collector Oof. That resolved, we'll play Lotus Petal. And now we'll fetch. We have the Volcanic Island as an untapped land. Gamble. We'll grab the Echo of Aeons. And attempt to spin. Storm is 4. Force of Will. Okay. I'll probably just concede this. Like, we're not going to be able to beat the Collector Oof. Like, maybe we stood a chance if they didn't have the Force of Vigor, but it's just not how it played out. And there's the Collector Oof. We have no hand. Yeah, I'm just gonna save myself some time here. Unfortunately, we got smushed this match. We are now 1-1. Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $15.99. This token combo pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens featuring classic Storm and Mana tokens with new inclusions such as our modern Ruby Storm package, but that's not all. Our token pack covers a variety of formats from Pauper to CDH with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game. Match number 3, we're on the play. Let's see how this one goes. Hopefully better than the last. Ooh, this was so close to being a turn 1 protected Echo. We're on the play. I do not know what our opponent typically plays. I think you just have to send this one back. I really want to keep it. It's just not close enough. Into a garbage hand. Okay, I guess we're going down to 5. So something I've been considering recently is I've been playing a lot of lists of the Epic Storm that don't feature Brainstorm. I've been thinking about Artist Talent in that deck. But one thing I'm learning from playing this league is I don't know if I want 4. 4 feels like a lot. So if I do decide to take that avenue, 2 is probably the number. Just like multiples really stink. I guess we'll keep this. We'll bottom Mox Opal and a defense grid. I really don't know what they're playing. So we'll play Bloodstained Mire and pass. Kind of just hoping that the divination aspect of Quantum Riddler is good enough. Dragon's Rage Channeler into a bauble. Okay. Gets rid of a Quarry Steel Cutter. They have 5 cards in their hand. And step will fetch for Commercial District. I think we keep the gamble. Play the Rite of Flame. This way we can play our defense grid through a daze. Defense grid on the stack. That resolved. And I think here I just pass. Like, you could gamble for Lion's Eye Diamond, but I don't really see the upside of that play. They play Delver's Secrets, Mishra's Bauble, gets rid of Quarry Steel Cutter, Wasteland. That one actually hurts, because I was hoping to draw 2 off Quantum Riddler next turn. That one hurt a lot. Okay, so Lion's Eye Diamond is her best draw. They use the Mishra's Bauble, another gamble. Well, let's go grab a Lion's Eye Diamond. Hopefully discards the Quantum Riddler. Select Lion's Eye Diamond. Straight to the graveyard. Pass the turn. The Red Entomb. Delver Secrets transforms by revealing Daze. Another Wasteland. Oh, no. And now they have Petty Theft for the defense grid. I've seen enough. We can go to game number 2. That was brutal. Alright, Boseiju comes in. So does the Haywire Might. Probably cut one of each Mox. They are a 2 Null Rod deck. So I think that's fine. And then maybe shave 1 Quantum Riddler. We'll submit this. Like, I think that this deck is fine. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to poop on this deck at all. Like, match number 1 was sweet. It's just, I wonder if Quantum Riddler is a little bit win more. Like, that's my big question about this list. And, like, Artist Talent is good. It's really powerful, but is for the right number. And one thing that I'm, like, always trying to compare decks to the Epic Storm, because that's a deck I have a lot of experience with. And what I find is when I play other decks and there's aspects I like, I incorporate them into the Epic Storm. And I think Artist Talent as a 1 or 2 of could be really powerful. This seems fine to me. Keep. We'll play the Wooded Foothills and pass. Like, for example, the Song of Creation technology was not my idea. That was Screenwriter NY's card that they played in like a Black Saga Storm list, that their only game plan was to put it into play off of Beseech Dimir. And I was like, oh, the Epic Storm can actually cast this. Like, why am I not playing this? And stuff like that. So I'm always looking to adapt and, you know, take things that I like. And Artist Talent could be a replacement for Brainstorm. But I just think that 4 of it can be a lot. We'll keep the Veil of Summer. They draw off the Bauble. We'll play the Bloodstained Mire and pass. They have Wasteland. Goodbye to the Commercial District, I suppose. We'll fetch. Go grab the Thundering Falls. Burning Wish. Nope. Volcanic. I think I'll just play the Volcanic Island and pass. They fetch with the Misty. And a main phase Brainstorm. This means that they're likely looking for the second land if I had to take a wild guess. They found a Scalding Tarn, down to 18 life, and they play a Delver's Secret, 6 cards still in their hand. Haywire Might is the draw. Surgical Extraction on Burning Wish. So that means that we have to win this game now with Urza Saga Constructs. Okay. If we win this, I'll board in a win condition for game 3. We'll play the Boseiju. And let's try an Artist Talent. I'm not going to concede because we can definitely still win this. And that resolved. And now I'll play the Haywire Might. Pass the turn. They transform the Delver by revealing Force of Will. And now they Ponder. They did not shuffle off the Ponder. And now they Hydroblast my Artist Talent. Kind of rude. Ouch. We find another Artist Talent. I'll play it. They have 5 in hand. The Force of Will exiles Brainstorm. I think I'm going to let that go. Now we'll swing for 1. They're at 14. Another Delver of Secrets. I'm running out of time if I think that Constructs are actually going to win, because I'm not going to be able to block flyers. Rite of Flame. Rite of Flame. Well, Veil of Summer. They Force of Will exiling Daze. That's why I didn't Veil last turn, is I suspected they had a Daze if they were willing to force the Artist Talent, knowing that I had a Veil in hand. And now we'll gamble. They have 1 card. We'll select Echo of Aeons. Of course, it doesn't go my way. That was the risk. We probably just lost. They transform the Delver to Brainstorm. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to win now. Okay, so we got smushed 2 rounds in a row. Yikes. I don't know if I would blame anything I did, really. Like, are you supposed to board in a win condition in the blind versus Izzet, knowing that, like, they play 1 to 2 surgicals? Maybe? Like, I guess that's a hindsight error. But I also think, like, they just drew enough disruption that it likely didn't matter. Who knows? But we're 1 and 2 after an incredible match number 1. Let's see if we can win match number 4. The Gold Sabertooth times the Epic Storm collection has arrived with 3 full-size tokens showcasing the beloved Dark Ritual, CDH Rogsai, and Legacy of the Epic Storm for just $5. On the backs of these tokens, there's a place for my signature or a custom message. In addition to these sweet tokens, a friendly reminder that all orders that ship from theepicstorm.com also come with a signed Storm token from yours truly. Match number 4 on the play. We've won a lot of die rolls today. Not a lot of wins yet, but hopefully we can change that here. Okay, this seems like a slow but maybe okay hand. I have no clue what our opponent's playing. I've mulliganed a lot today, so now I'm starting to think that maybe I need to mulligan less with this deck. Maybe I'm wrong. It's just I feel like I've mulliganed a lot of hands like this that don't really do a whole lot, and then I get blown out by mulliganing into a hand with no mana, and then a hand that doesn't function, and all of a sudden I'm on 3 or 4 cards. We'll play the Wooded Foothills and pass the turn. They play a Cloud Post, okay. We'll fetch, grab the Thundering Falls, keep the Artist Talent. Now we'll play Bloodstained Mire and fetch. Go grab the Taiga, play the Artist Talent. Let's play Lotus Petal, trigger, discard a Burning Wish, and I think we'll pass the turn. I don't know if our opponent is on blue Cloud Post or the green one, so I don't want to get rid of the defense grid quite yet. They play a Glimmer Post, now they have 3 available mana. I think I would just like to level up the Artist Talent here, and we'll pass. So if they tap out for like a One Ring or Karn the Great Creator, I can still win, despite, you know, the Lotus Petal not being quite active. And they are playing blue. So I'm glad that I held the defense grid. Okay, they're at 5 cards in hand. We'll play the defense grid for 1 mana, get rid of the Artist Talent. Lion's Eye Diamond was a massive draw, wow. Alright, so now we'll play Lotus Petal. Discard the Quantum Riddler. Mox Opal, good draw. We'll play the Diamond, discard the Rite of Flame. Another Riddler. Don't think that's a luxury I have right now. So we'll play the Opal, discard the Quantum Riddler. Echo was a good draw. Now I kind of wish I kept the Riddler, but that would have been greedy. So Burning Wish, and then I have 5 mana, which is 1 mana short of Peer into the Abyss. That said, if I draw into a mana... No, that doesn't work. I was thinking if I Burning Wish, crack, discard the Echo to the Artist Talent, but that just doesn't work how I want it to. Alright, so I think we'll just make 3 blue with the Lion's Eye Diamond and flash back the Echo floating 1 blue. And now we'll draw a new hand. And now I will play the Quantum Riddler. Or should I hold it? I might want to hold it for a little bit because I think I can get an extra card out of it if I wait. Discard the Veil of Summer. Play Lion's Eye Diamond. Discard the Arid Mesa. Play the Chrome Mox. Discard the Urza's Saga. Now I think I'm supposed to imprint the Riddler, because I'd rather draw 7 with the Runehorn Hellkite. We'll tap the Mox Opal, play another, discard the Defense Grid. And I ripped another Riddler, that was great. So now I'll play the Quantum Riddler, and this will draw 2 cards. We'll play our land, fetch. We have 1 more untap land, the Volcanic. And now I can use the Lion's Eye Diamond. And we will use the activated ability of the Runehorn Hellkite. This will draw 8 cards due to the Quantum Riddler. But from here, it should be pretty easy to win. Rite of Flame. I guess the Artist Talent. Discard Urza's Saga. We'll play a Mox Opal. Discard the Gamble. We'll warp another Quantum Riddler. Draw a card. Lion's Eye Diamond. Discard Urza's Saga. Play another Artist Talent. Discard Chrome Mox. Play a Lotus Petal. Discard Defense Grid. Discard Echo of Aeons. Now we'll play a Lion's Eye Diamond. Discard the Quantum Riddler. And we draw 3 cards. Now we discard. I'll get rid of a Gamble. Use that Lotus Petal for a Rite of Flame. Discard Artist Talent. Discard Gamble. Rite of Flame. We'll play another Rite of Flame. Discard Wooded Foothills. This will draw a couple cards here. So we'll draw 3. And now I'll discard the Commercial District. Storm is 19. I'm still a few spells away. We'll play the Mox Opal. Discard Veil of Summer. Discard Veil of Summer. Keep the new Mox Opal. Rite of Flame. Discard Echo of Aeons. 12 cards left in the deck. Discard Artist Talent. So these are the games where Quantum Riddler looks nuts. But the thing is, I don't think I needed Quantum Riddler to win this game. I'm pretty convinced that any other card in the deck, like a stock up, would have been fine. Like, there's just... I'm not so sure that Quantum Riddler is actually the thing this deck needs. It's really sweet to just, like, go do the thing and draw your entire library, but is it necessary? That's my big question, and I'm not convinced that it is. So we're facing the blue Karn deck. We probably want Into the Floodmaws, Haywire Might, Beseiju, Who Endures. That's a lot of cards coming in. I think we want to board down 2 Quantum Riddler, maybe shave a couple copies of Mox Opal and Chrome Mox at 62. Maybe I'm supposed to keep the Quantum Riddlers and just get rid of the Rite of Flames. I mean, we don't have a lot of mana in the deck versus a Chalice of the Void strategy, which is scary. Or I could just get rid of all of the Quantum Riddlers. Maybe that's the move. We'll try this. This seems solid. A Chalice of the Void for 1 would make me cry, but the rest of the hand's pretty good. They play a Cloud Post. We'll play Arid Mesa and pass. They play a Thundertrap Trainer. And now our opponent plays a Chalice of the Void for 0, with 5 cards still in their hand. And step will fetch. We'll grab Commercial District, Surveil, get rid of the Lion's Eye Diamond. It doesn't really help me right now. Echo of Aeons. We'll fetch. Grab the Volcanic Island. Rite of Flame. And then let's play the Artist Talent. That resolved. And I think I'll just pass now. If I had known I was going to draw Echo of Aeons, I would have kept the Lion's Eye Diamond. Well, I guess now that play looks less good. Karn the Great Creator. And then they minus the Karn. And they grabbed a Mycosynth Lattice, so we're going to be locked out of this game very quickly. Okay, I'll take 1. Urza's Saga. We'll play that. So next turn, they're going to have 5 mana. They're 1 short. I think I'll pass. And then I can Floodmaw the Karn the Great Creator after they play Lattice. And I have Veil of Summer back up. And that allows me to loot away the Echo and then potentially try to win. They cycle a Lorien Revealed. Our opponent untapped. Played another Cloud Post. We know that they have an island in their hand from the Lorien Revealed. In response to this, I'm going to use the Into the Floodmaw to bounce the Karn the Great Creator, giving them a fish. This triggers the Artist Talent. They force a will, exiling Thundertrap Trainer. I will Veil of Summer. We get to trigger the Artist Talent once again. Discard Echo of Aeons. Now we draw off the Veil of Summer. And now we loot again, discard Echo of Aeons. The Karn is bounced. Mycosynth Lattice resolves. And now we have to try to win through a Chalice of the Void. Okay. Interesting, the Lattice shuts off their forces because they don't have blue cards in hand anymore. Alright, so we'll float a colorless mana here. And now I get to go grab a Lion's Eye Diamond. Oh no, that was only Chapter 2. My bad. I guess it's fine. We will play Rite of Flame. For some reason, I thought it was the wrong chapter. My bad. Discard. The question is, do I want to try to play out Defense Grid first? I think we'll get rid of the Chrome Mox. I can always get rid of the Defense Grid later. We'll play Lotus Petal. Chalice triggers. Get rid of the Defense Grid, I suppose. Gamble. Interesting. We'll gamble. Keep both the cards in my hand. I want them both. And now we'll gamble. Wish I had a green mana available for Veil of Summer, but I don't. Ooh, if I grab Burning Wish, I could pulverize away the entire board. That's funny. I think I'm supposed to just grab Into the Floodmaw. And that was a perfect gamble. We'll now bounce the... Cancel. Bounce the Chalice of the Void, giving them another fish. I would like my Lion's Eye Diamond, so I'm not going to discard it. We'll play the Lion's Eye Diamond. We'll make 3 blue. And now we'll flashback Echo of Aeons. Storm is 6. 3 mana floating, and I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe they cannot Force of Will, because the forces in their hand are all colorless and they don't have blue cards to exile. So we'll discard Wooded Foothills. We'll play Mox Opal. Discard the Urza's Saga. This taps for a green. I can play the Veil of Summer. Discard Urza's Saga. Play the Chrome Mox. Discard Echo of Aeons. I don't think imprinting works here due to the Mycosynth Lattice, because everything is colorless. I'm actually kind of interested to see if it will tap for a colorless, so I'll discard this gamble. Or imprint the gamble. Yeah, it does not tap for a colorless. Okay, so the more you know. And now I'll turn off auto yields, play the Burning Wish, and we'll add 3 black. Burning Wish into Tendrils of Agony. Wow. This deck is supposed to be the combo killer. And here it just lost. Boom! Nice Chalice of the Void, Force of Will, Karn the Great Creator opening. It was not good enough, and now we're 2-2. The best legacy podcast? That would be Eternal Glory featuring myself, Bryant Cook, alongside Brian Koval and Phil Gallagher. We're available on all major podcast platforms and YouTube. On the play for the final round, let's go. Sure, I don't know what they're playing, but this seems fine to me. We'll begin with Urza's Saga and then just pass the turn. Urza's Tower, so maybe Mystic Forge, and it is, okay. Saga goes to the second chapter. My hand isn't really capable of winning right now. We'll play the Wooded Foothills. And if they play Karn the Great Creator, I'm going to want the ability to make a construct. So I will imprint the Veil of Summer here. Pass the turn. Planar Nexus, so now they have 4 mana. And now they play a Portable Hole. And they're going to go after the Chrome Mox. I will fetch in response and make a construct. We'll grab Volcanic Island. Alright, we have a 2/2 construct that is about to be a 1/1, and then they just pass. We draw Defense Grid, kind of a stinky draw here. We'll tap the Saga for mana, go grab a Lion's Eye Diamond, play our land. Let's fetch for the Taiga, because we only have 2 untapped lands, so I want to make sure that I don't draw one after I draw 7. We'll play Rite of Flame, gamble for Echo of Aeons. Okay, and now we'll cast it. So, discard our hand to Lion's Eye Diamond. And we have 3 available mana here. Lion's Eye Diamond. This is enough mana to peer into the Abyss. So we'll play the Burning Wish. I haven't cast a Peer into the Abyss in a very long time. This is kind of exciting. Okay. Grab the Peer into the Abyss. Target me. I love it. I love it so much. 24 cards. Lotus Petal. Lotus Petal. Lion's Eye Diamond. Mox Opal. We'll play a Chrome Mox. Imprint another Burning Wish, I suppose. We'll play a Rite of Flame, play a Lotus Petal, another Lotus Petal, and Burning Wish. Yes. We'll grab the Grape Shot, and they concede. Nice. Alright, we've taken game number 1 from Mystic Forge. We'll bring in into the Flood Maws. We want that Void Snare. Probably want Haywire Might and the Beseiju Who Endures. What we don't need is Veil of Summer. Let's get those out of here. Same thing with the Defense Grids. And that's 59, so we need one more card in our deck. What should it be? You could board in the 4th Echo and just try to go fast. I think I'm down for that. Let's go. Game number 2 on the draw. We've opened up a hand that doesn't really do a whole lot. I fear that this just isn't powerful enough. We'll send it back. No, this hand's stinky. This is fine. We'll get rid of Artist Talent and the Gamble. No Leyline of the Void. We've passed the first step. Let's go. Urza's Workshop into Manifold Key. It is time to combo. Lotus Petal. Lion's Eye Diamond. Mox Opal. We'll tap that Opal, and then we'll play another. Tap the new Opal for a blue. We'll make red with Lion's Eye Diamond. And now we'll flash back the Echo of Aeons, floating 2 red. Storm is 5. We'll fetch with the Bloodstained Mire. I drew the Volcanic, which is actually pretty bad here. We'll grab Taiga, play the Artist Talent, and then play Mox Opal to trigger the Artist Talent. Discard the Echo. We drew a Chrome Mox, that's great. Keep the new one. Play the Chrome Mox. Discard Urza's Saga. We'll imprint into the Flood Maw. And then flash back Echo of Aeons. Discard Artist Talent, I guess. I don't think there's an instant I would actually cast here, but it doesn't hurt. Okay. We'll play another Mox Opal. Discard a land. Lion's Eye Diamond is certainly welcome. We'll play Lion's Eye Diamond. Discard Arid Mesa. Another Rite of Flame, oh my. So we'll play the first Rite of Flame. Before it resolves, we'll discard another. Means that this one makes more mana. We'll play another Rite of Flame. Discard Quantum Riddler. And we found the Burning Wish, so we just have lethal here. Turn off my auto yields. We'll cast Burning Wish. Now we'll add 3 black mana. Burning Wish resolves, I'll say yes. Grab Tendrils of Agony. Target you. Even if they drew into something like a Mindbreak Trap, I could still just flashback Echo of Aeons and keep moving. And the opponent concedes. So we went 3-2. How about that? Okay, so what did I think of the deck list? It was fine. There were some mana issues in matches 2 and 3. I think for the most part, I am not as confident in Quantum Riddler as I was in the past. I kind of feel like it's a little bit win more. Maybe that's not a great thing to say, but when you're doing the thing, it's amazing. But when you're not doing the thing, 2 mana draw 2, is that legacy playable in a Storm Shell? I don't know. It just feels like it's either the nuts or bad. And I don't know how many cards you want like that in your library or in your deck altogether. I did like the Burning Wishes. I do think that those are meaningful upgrades to this deck. I'm just not sure about Quantum Riddler. Maybe I'm being short-sighted. I don't know. But that's my thought. I really liked Stock Up when I played this deck previously, but it seems like everyone has moved past it. So some number of Stock Ups could be nice. I liked the Wishboard. I thought that was pretty good. I did miss a Pirate Spellbomb sometimes. I don't know. In general, and I'm not trying to be too mean here, I do feel like these style decks are sort of just slightly worse versions of the Epic Storm. But if that's something you want to play, go for it. Not everyone needs to play the deck that I work on. That's my 2 cents. Thank you to Matthew Story for the donation deck. Matthew, by the way, is someone who plays the Epic Storm, so I'm not afraid to say something like that because I know Matthew just wants to work on Storm Combo regardless of the deck or the shell. So thank you to everyone for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and as always, keep storming. Hey, Bryant Cook. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. There's no better way to support our channel. If you're interested in elevating your combo game, visit theepicstorm.com/tutoring for details about our coaching sessions. Don't worry, there's more great combo content coming right up.